on your right. Minard up a game here playing Blue-White Stoneblade versus Jun.
And one thing we talked about before this match was, are people cheating on cards like Engineered Plague?
Yep.
And Darin Minard is playing Esper Blade, but he doesn't have any Engineered Plagues in his sideboard. So he does have one copy of Supreme Verdict, one copy of Humility, which could come in against Goblins. But again, it just shows you that players really aren't caring about Goblins these days, doesn't it look like?
And it looks like for the most part, you can deem his deck Esper Blade because he does have Surgical Extraction, but he doesn't have any actual black mana or black cards in here. So if you want to call it Esper Blade, you can. You can also just call it Blue-White Stoneblade. Either way, I mean, he does have a black card, yes, but it looks like he doesn't have that discard that you see from on the Esper Blade decks right now.
Yeah, so it's mostly just a blue-white blade deck, I guess.
Yeah. And so we see here again, Minard is going to be up a game. We'll find out what that Pithing Needle is naming. See what he's trying to shut down, and we see.
My guess is a Deathrite Shaman that's in play, perhaps.
Yeah.
So it looks like Tyree is putting up a relatively good fight in game 2. He's got double Dark Confidant in play, so it looks like he's going to be able to gain a little card advantage off of Darin.
Here's the Mishra's Factory that's going to be activated. We're going to try to figure out exactly what the game state is and what kind of turn we're on. It feels like game 2 may have just started here.
Yeah.
We're in the opening turns. You see 2 Dark Confidants in play. And both players do have, well, at least Zach has a lot of hands, a lot of cards in his hand, like some extra draws there from the Confidant. And we're going to see the Factory try to jump in front of the, a Deathrite Shaman or a Bob? Okay, so it's going to be a Bob.
Oh, wow, and interesting. Tyree did actually have a Punishing Fire there,
Yeah.
but chose not to use it mostly because, the Mishra's Factory could pump itself, I suppose? Or did it have Summoning Sickness? Maybe it came in the turn.
Well, yeah, it may have had Summoning Sickness, actually. Who knows?
Yeah. So the Pithing Needle is naming Deathrite Shaman. So Deathrite Shaman is basically just a 1/2 attacker for this game.
Sanctuary Cat. Meow.
In this current situation, it seems okay.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
And if he does want to get Deathrite Shaman back online, you see in Tyree's hand, he does have an Abrupt Decay for the Pithing Needle. So if he wanted to start draining and gaining life and adding extra mana, he can. As we're going to see Dark Confidant turn over a mystery card there for Tyree.
And Darin's hand, not very good. A bunch of land and Jace the Mind Sculptor, but Jace the Mind Sculptor might not be enough in this game if he's not able to stop some of the pressure that Tyree's putting on here.
And now you're going to see Jace the Mind Sculptor go bye-bye via Thoughtseize off of that Bloodbraid Elf Cascade. Tundra, Plains, and Flooded Strands are the cards revealed to that. And I think so we're going to be moving on to a game 3 here.
Yeah, Darin's
soon.
Attacking for 6, dropping Darin to 6, so effectively on a 1-turn clock now. Doesn't even have enough mana to cast his top deck Supreme Verdict. So
Vendilion Click is the draw here.
now, if he clicks main phase, he could. Well, it doesn't even bother. Assumes Tyree has some sort of removal spell in his hand, so.
I mean, he might be better off not letting Tyree know that he has Vendilion Click in his deck.
Yeah,
we don't know.
That's what he was thinking.
We don't know how game 1 went, and if Darin did show a Vendilion Click, but if he didn't, if he hasn't seen it yet, maybe he doesn't know that he left it in the sideboard. He knows that it's in his deck because they have deck lists, but he doesn't know if he actually left it in. So.
Yeah, and interesting, he boarded it. It looks like he did board in the Pithing Needle.
Okay.
Maybe possibly just to stop a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. Not sure what other cards he's really afraid of here.
Well, you see Liliana the Veil. That's certainly one. That's actually it. It looks like we see. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah,
Punishing, you can't. Yeah, because you can't really.
No.
You can't name Punishing Fire and stop that ability.
No.
So, not really much. Maybe he's using it to try to bait an Abrupt Decay, and he's bringing in cards like Sword of Feast and Famine as well.
Okay.
But either way, it looks like we have 1 copy of Humility, 1 copy of Supreme Verdict, 1 copy of Gilded Drake, 3 copies of Surgical Extraction, which you'd imagine are probably coming in because it's one of his few ways to stop the Punishing Fire combo.
Yeah, we saw one in his graveyard that game too.
Yeah, 1 copy of Sword and Feast and Famine, which again, pretty good against a black-green deck, not great against Abrupt Decay. And Zach's playing 4 copies of Abrupt Decay, which Darin knows of, so might not be bringing in that card. He has 1 copy of Pithing Needle, which again we saw this game, so obviously he has his reasons for bringing that in. 2 copies of Path to Exile, 2 copies of Disenchant, and 3 Geist of St. Traft.
Okay.
Geist of St. Traft probably not very good in this matchup. Path to Exile, I like that as another way to deal with Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, I think he just wants a lot of pinpoint rule. Dealing with Tarmogoyf, dealing with Dark Confidant. I mean, heck, even dealing with like an annoying Deathrite Shaman. You just want to get that off the table and turn your turn your Snapcaster mages back on.
Yeah, we know Force of Will isn't very effective in this matchup. You're dealing with cards like Thoughtseize and Hymn to Torque. You don't really want to be giving up that much card advantage. So probably going to bring in Path Exile. We know the Pine Needle's coming in. I wouldn't be surprised if the Sword of Feast and Famine came in too, because again, it's not great against Abrupt Decay, but it can still steal wins if it's left unanswered.
Yeah, against this deck that does have a little bit of red removal and Punishing Fire and Lightning Bolt, but outside of that, this is a Jund deck, and obviously plus pro green, pro black. That's where you want to be against this deck. So.
And Darin has 3 copies of Spell Pierce, which again, not great in this matchup, and I expect Surgical Extraction to be a clean swap right there.
So we do see both players shuffling up here for Game 3. Be interesting to see. Hopefully we can get some results from our other matches as well. See if Storm is beating Jund or if Storm is beating the Loam deck, or at least find out what the game counts are for you guys at home who are maybe rooting on the old combo deck. Or if you're looking for a little bit more fair decks to move on to our semifinals this evening.
And Zach's got an interesting sideboard. He has the 4th Bloodbraid Elf, where a lot of Jund decks are playing only 3 Bloodbraid Elves main. He's got the 4th in his sideboard. I expect that would probably come in. He's got 1 copy of Ancient Grudge, which you definitely bring in to deal with Batterskull and Muzao Jete. He has 2 copies of Jete himself, which he can choose to bring in, along with 3 copies of Duress, which, you know, not sure how much you want. It's good at taking Source of Plashers and Jace the Mind Sculptor, but not great against Brainstorm. So not exactly sure how many if he wants to go on all 3 copies, but maybe a couple of copies of Duress.
So we are going to see Minard and Tyree take a mulligan down to at least 6 cards here. Do have someone on Twitter that told me yesterday, or maybe it was Friday. The days are starting to blur together a little bit here. So much coverage, but the guys at the local store in Oklahoma, they call Darin the Dare Bear.
The Dare Bear.
The Dare Bear. So if you want to start calling Darin that, I don't think he's going to seem to mind. Or you can just call him Darin. Your call. It's up to you.
You know, I'm not quite so sure. I've never met these people before.
Yeah.
They could be that could be a negative nickname. Darin might not like that, so I'm not going to call him the Dare Bear.
All right.
Unless he gives me permission to.
All right. Well, I hope I'm not being set up on Twitter. But if you do want to set me up on Twitter, you can interact with us here at SCG Live. Hashtag SCGEnvy. We've got about 2.5 rounds left to go. This is our second match that we're going to cover in the quarterfinals. But if you guys don't want to chat with us and hang out while you're hopefully watching WrestleMania, feel free to do that.
Why bother watching WrestleMania when you can see 2 masters battle it out here?
Have you seen John Cena?
I actually don't watch wrestling. I'm
Wow.
sorry. A lot of people just gave me dirty looks here.
Yeah, that's not okay. That's not okay. Glenn, stop clapping.
I did watch wrestling when I was a kid. I watched the WWF cartoon, the Hulk Hogan. It was like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Randy Savage. Do you remember? Probably before your time.
I'm not old, so no, I don't remember.
Well, yeah, not old. Please, come on. You have YouTube, don't you? I love how people say, "Oh, I never saw that movie before my time." Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't own a DVD player? You don't own a computer? There are plenty of ways to see things.
I'm sorry, the WWF cartoon is way before my time. Now, you want to talk about the Mega Man cartoon? Now you're speaking.
I'm not
my
asking
language.
you, did you live through the Great Depression? I'm asking you, have you seen a cartoon?
Well, to answer your question, I have not. Not yet.
All right, so it looks like both players are happy with their 6 cards hand, or relatively happy.
Yeah, as happy as you can be on 6. How about that?
Oh, whoa. Actually,
hello.
no. Darin is happy. Zach is debating it now.
And if Darin's happy, that means Zach's probably not so happy.
Yeah.
And he's going to go down to 5 here. Okay.
Wow. Game 3, Zach is forced to mull to 5 on the draw. Not ideal, but again, Mulligan's better than the deck that we saw prior, Mud, because he does have 4 copies of Dark Confidant, which can sort of regain some of that advantage that he loses. So, you know, not a great situation for Zach, but when your deck doesn't Mulligan's reasonably well, you can come back from anything. And he's only behind 1 card, even though he's going to 5. Darin did Mulligan.
And he's on the draw.
And he's on the draw, so not a terrible situation here.
It can certainly be worse.
And he also has an engine in Punishing Fire and Grove of the Burnwells, which can sort of just drive the advantage back in Zach's favor.
Oh, I do know what show you're talking about now. You're talking about Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen all the episodes. Great show.
Great show.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah. So we're going to see a Grove of the Burned Willows into a Death Right Shaman here from Tyree. So trying to undo that mulligan. Certainly a good start. You see a Wasteland, I think, a
And
Punishing Fire, Dark Confidant, too. Wow.
Yeah, really, really good mulligan here.
And we see a Brainstorm here on Tyree's, and I believe this is the end step of Tyree's turn here, as we do see that we do have a quick update. Greg Mitchell versus Jeff Hoogland, our 5-forward match. Of course, Greg playing Storm, Jeff playing the 4-color Loam deck. They're going to be going into Game 3 here. So, see what the end result of that match is going to be. As you see, Darin is going to untap. He's going to draw. So that Brainstorm was on Tyree's end step, as he does draw an island here. Polluted Delta and does just pass the turn back.
So, we have... There are no lands currently in the graveyard, but he can... Okay, so he do draw a sack land.
Yeah.
So now he has access to black mana, and he can cast a Dark Confidant if he chooses.
See what black land is going to search out here. Maybe get a Bayou. Considering a Badlands as well. Taking a look at his deck listing, if he does have... And he does have a basic Swamp. I don't know if he wants to get that or not.
Is he... And yeah, he might be afraid of 2 copies of Wasteland in Darin's deck, so... Could be afraid there. Yeah, playing a little safe. Doesn't want to... He has 1 Wasteland in his hand. Oh, well, maybe rethinking it.
That's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable play there, because if you want to just go for the basic, because you have 1 copy of Wasteland, you don't want to get Wastelanded yourself and not be able to use your Wasteland and be behind on mana. But
he was very unsure of himself. He actually brought up all the black mana there. Wasn't sure what card he wanted to get.
I think he's giving away a little too much information there, and now Darin knows. Okay, maybe he is a little mana light. Not quite sure. Maybe now Darin is willing to cast Swords of Pleasure on the Deathrite Shaman. Maybe he's unwilling to use his Path to Exile now. So let's see how Darin handles a turn 2 Dark Confidant. And that is in fact what we see happen. Darin lets it resolve because he has to.
Doesn't seem to mind too much. And this is what you were talking about when going over the sideboard here. Darin does have those sorts of plowshares. He also has Path Exiles, and in combination with Snapcaster Mage, he can just pick off a ton of threats and not really care very much about the creatures that Tyree does play. As Tyree is going to search out a Swamp here off of Path Exile.
And is that a foil path, Swords of Pleasure in his hand?
That's a foil path.
So interesting that he would use the path over the sword. Is there?
I think it's a foil Path to Exile, not a.
Oh, so
not
it is a foil
sword.
path. So it's 2 paths. He doesn't have a sword in his hand. Okay.
As we do get a quick update, William Pearson playing Jund wins 2-0, beating Chris Cornwell Shield playing Storm.
Wow.
I did not expect that at all.
No.
All right.
2-0. Didn't put up much of a fight. We expected... Oh, well, again, we said if he drew the right half of his deck, you know, if he went turn 1 Thoughtseize, not turn 1 Lightning Bolt, it makes a huge difference. So.
Well, it sounds like that's what he did, as he is going to advance to the semifinals. Going to play the winner of that match that is in Game 3. Again, Greg Mitchell playing Tez, the Epic Storm, against Jeff Hoogland playing 4-color Life from the Loam.
Looks like Tyree might have missed an attack last turn, but he does have a little... He did draw Liliana, and he still has that Wasteland, so let's see how he plays this turn. He could play the Liliana and try to uptake it, but we know Darin does have a Snapcaster Mage, so he could technically attack the Liliana still if Zach actually attacks with the Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah. We're going to see...
looks like he... Oh, no, he's tapping for mana.
That's 4 mana, maybe a... This maybe a Bloodbraid Elf here?
Yeah, okay. There it is.
So Bloodbraid Elf, and we're going to see a Cascade. Let's see what he does find. Deathrite Shaman, number 2.
Not the best Cascade ever, but
it's still worse.
Yeah, 2 creatures for 1, always reasonable, especially when you are on a mulligan to 5.
Yeah. So now we're going to see Minard here. He is going to play a Snapcaster Mage.
His own pseudo Bloodbraid, getting a Brainstorm, probably.
Pseudo Bloodbraid has been announced. And he's going to target Path to Exile. No. He's going to take care of Deathrite Shaman. He's probably going to block too, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
He's going to
he has another Snapcaster. Yep. He has another path in his hand. So he could still get Brainstorm going if he wants to. And again, off a mulligan to 5, not the worst shape for Zach. Darin doesn't have a Jace the Mind Sculptor, and the Wasteland ensures that he won't be able to top deck 1 and play it that turn.
Yeah.
So Zach probably hoping that Liliana will be able to do some work next turn.
So we do see Minard is going to draw an island to go along with that Flooded Strand, Path to Exile, and Snapcaster Mage after shuffling and cutting Tyree's deck. We'll see what he's going to plan on doing this turn, as he is just going to play an island. He's going to play a main phase.
Wow.
Main phase Snapcaster Mage. This feels like a brainstorm to me then.
Yeah, definitely going for the brainstorm. Pretty aggressive there. I'm not sure why he needs to do it in the main, but he did draw some gas. He has that sort of Feast and Famine. However, it's not going to be that effective against Punishing Fire and Grove of the Burn Willows.
So we do see a Vicious Factory, a Sword of Feast and Famine, and a Flooded Strand. And he's going to put a couple cards back there. Wants to hide that sword from a little bit of discard, so that's gonna leave him with a Path to Exile, a Flooded Strand, and a mystery card, which is the Factory in his hand. Quick result update for you guys, really quick. Jeff Hooglin does win with the 4-color Loam deck, so both Storm decks gone.
Yep.
Out of the top 8. You Storm fans out there, sorry about that whammy.
So pretty good turn here for Zach potentially. He can play Liliana. He could cast Punishing Fire, targeting the Snapcaster Mage, and then he can uptick the Liliana, forcing Darin to discard one of his lands, likely a Flooded Strand.
Yeah, it wants to have that Factory around, and that last card is that Punishing Fire. So this is a really, really good mulligan to 5 here.
Very good mulligan.
Yeah.
Liliana is going to be doing some work on Darin's hand.
Yes. Yes, it is. He's going to discard that Flooded Strand now.
And again, he loses the ability to shuffle away some cards, but I think, did he keep the sword on top of his deck? The Feast of Famine?
Yep.
Okay, so drawing a sword, which isn't very useful right now.
No, it's really not the best. And then you're going to see Deathrite Shaman come in for 1 here.
Yeah, Zach's got to be ecstatic if Darin's turn is just 3 mana, Sword of Feast and Famine, Mistress Factory.
Go.
It's, you know, he's going to uptick, he's going to empty Darin's hand completely. Again, he's vulnerable to a top deck Jason the Mind Sculptor, which...
That's not the next card.
That's not the next card.
Yeah,
so
is it the one after that? Who knows? As you're going to see Path to Exile here from Darin, going to take care of that Deathrite Shaman. He knows he doesn't have any more basics, just the forest and the swamp. So safe to do it right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't give him any advantage. Doesn't thin his deck at all. And does just pass the turn back because he's going to discard that path anyway to Liliana. So might as well cast it.
Might as well cast it.
So it's a battle of top decks, but one player has a Planeswalker, and he's going to play a Grove. A Grove of the Burn Willows and pass the turn back.
And now that he has Grove of the Burn Willows ×2, it's going to be tough for even Extraction to deal with the Burn Willows because to deal with the Punishing Fire. And Punishing Fire is going to be able to deal with any top deck Jace anyway. So pretty good position for Tyree right here.
Yeah. So Tyree is going to bring that Punishing Fire back, and he does not shoot on the end step and bring it back again. A little bit surprised. I guess it doesn't do anything, so never mind. I take it all back. It's late in the day. Glenn, stop laughing at me, please. As we're going to see that tick up, he's going to discard a Hymn to Torak.
So Liliana keep ticking up, and Liliana does have another ability, an ultimate ability.
Oh, does it?
So
does it have an ultimate? So let's bring that card up on the screen. Show you that ultimate ability.
For those of you at home unfamiliar with Liliana's ultimate, because how often do you really get to ultimate a Liliana? You know, a lot of times you're just upticking, then sacking, upticking, make him sack.
No, it normally dominates the game that way.
Yeah.
If we're gonna see this on the screen momentarily, the old you separate all the permanents is what Tyree will do have for Minard, and Minard will have to sacrifice all permanents of a pile of his or her choice. So we'll see. We might see it bite the dust here. He might just want to take it up to 7 and then activate the ultimate instead of losing the Liliana.
You definitely don't want to lose your Liliana. Liliana's ultimate's not the most devastating sometimes. Usually it's like destroy 3 lands.
Yeah.
But
no, we're going to see an Abrupt Decay off the top here. Going to take care of that sort of Feast and Famine. So it feels like to me we're going to see this move up.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to. I don't think you want to lose your Liliana yet.
Yeah.
Esper Blade doesn't really have many ways to deal with Planeswalkers effectively, especially in a situation like this where you have no creatures whatsoever.
And he does draw a Geist of Saint Trap, which it actually would be good in this situation a decent amount of the time. The problem here is that he can take down Liliana, and then if Darin were to try to activate that factory to sacrifice something else, he just Punishing Fire it. So Geist is not the best in this situation here.
So allows Darin to gain a life. So let's see if does he have enough mana to go target it with Punishing Fire. Darin activates it to give it +1/+1, and then does Darin have enough mana to use a Burn Willows to get it back and then recast it?
Okay,
so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I believe he does have enough. He has 3 red and 2 colorless is what you would need there.
And so we're going to see Punishing Fire go this way. It's going to go upstairs, and then he's just going to bring it back. So life total does not change at all, which was a mistake that I just made here because I thought it would.
So
it's late, baby. It's late. Magic after dark.
So let's see how Zach chooses to deal with this Geist. Likely gonna... Oh, no, he's just gonna go ultimate here.
Yeah, so he's gonna go ultimate. You're gonna see Darin read it here. And I think the reason you're gonna see this Osif, excuse me, is he's probably gonna separate the Geist and the Factory. Make him choose one or the other, maybe?
I don't understand this play.
Okay.
I don't understand this play, though, because let's say you go Geist and everything else. Isn't Darin just going to pick the Geist pile anyway?
And just go for broke?
And then kill the Liliana. And now you have no way to deal with Geist Saint Draft.
Okay, you know, the play that we were going to talk about where, you know, maybe he makes him sacrifice to Liliana, and then Darin activates the Factory.
Yeah,
okay.
So he would tap the Badlands and the Swamp, cast the Punishing Fire on the Factory. Darin activates the Factory, giving it +1/+1. Punishing Fire resolves, goes to the graveyard. He taps the Burn Wells, uses a red to gain a life, and brings that back. And then he taps the other Burn Wells in another land to cast the Punishing Fire a second time. So that play would work.
Yeah. So that would take care of that. So I guess the question is why do
I don't understand it. Yeah, you have to keep
Geist.
Yeah,
you have to keep the Geist.
It's like your only chance.
Yeah, you're just all in on Geist now.
Yeah,
so
does he have another...
Maybe is this a Tarmogoyf?
Does he have a...
Okay, that answers... That makes sense now. Okay.
It helps it makes sense, I guess, but I still would have preferred to just down tick it and force him to sack the Geist that way.
Okay.
But maybe he wasn't sure if he had enough to activate the cast the Punishing Fire twice, perhaps.
Okay.
But you are going to lose your Liliana now, but maybe it doesn't matter. You're going to lose your Liliana.
But he's going to lose
You lose your Geist.
Yeah.
You have one land left, one card in hand. Might not really be relevant.
Yeah. I mean,
and you're still facing Punishing Fire.
Yeah, Grove of the Burn Wills and a draw step every turn.
Yeah,
so, yeah, it looks like that Liliana Veil ultimate activation is certainly okay now.
Yeah, you know, it's fine. Make him sacrifice 5 lands. As long as he had a follow-up. If he didn't have a follow-up,
it would have been very awkward. Looked a little bit wonky. I was wondering what that card was, as Darin does draw a Stoneforge Mystic for the turn, and cannot cast that one.
So chooses not to attack there.
Yeah, I mean, attacking doesn't really do very much, as you're going to see Punishing Fire here.
I don't know. I mean, you might want to just get rid of that Liliana. You don't want to keep upticking and picking apart your hand, because basically any spell you draw, you're just going to lose. You have no mana to cast it. So if you top deck a Plowshare, at least you have an answer to a Tarmogoyf. And so suddenly Zach doesn't have a Tarmogoyf in play or a Liliana. Obviously, you're dealing with a Punishing Fire still. So
we'll see Stoneforge Mystic discard here, Punishing Fire discarded there. And now that you do have Liliana up to 2 counters, basically threatening to take care of that Geist Saint Draft the next turn. Maybe we do finally see an attack with the Geist Saint Draft. Basically trying to kill Liliana, but basically accomplishing the same thing, because it's going to die next turn, it looks like.
Yeah, it's going to die next turn no matter what. Or not necessarily. Zach could uptick it one more time, so maybe Darin just goes for it now.
I mean, bad situation either way.
Yeah, no one's saying this is a good situation at all. So just a matter of how Zach navigates the next few turns here, that's all.
So there is one of the 2 Wastelands that Darin does have in his deck. Problem is, of course, there are multiple problems, honestly. Well, there are 2 Grove of the Burn Wills, is certainly one.
This is the thing. It looks devastating for Darin. I'm not saying it's not. But he has to give himself some position to win by Zach getting a little loose. So it's going to involve a sequence of cards, but if he Wastelands one of the Groves, that's step 1. I think you have to deal with Liliana, which so Zach decided not to uptick. He's going to just deal with Geist. That's actually good for Darin. So now, if Darin draws a Swords, he deals with the Tarmogoyf. If he draws an Extirpate, suddenly he deals with the Punishing Fire as well.
Sure.
Because now Zach only has 1 Grove of the Burn Willows, so he can't actually respond to the Extirpate anymore.
What if he has another Liliana of the Veil?
Listen, I didn't say it was going to be easy. I'm just saying there are a sequence of plays that Darin could make that could possibly pull it out.
Well, I don't think that involves Tyree playing a second Liliana Veil, ticking it up, and then playing a Dark Confidant after attacking with a 6/7.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
As there's
the plow. I told you. Listen, obviously, if Zach draws the nuts, it's going to be tough. But you got to put yourself in a position to win.
So now we're going to see a Dark Confidant trigger here from Tyree after that swords just happened. Tyree's going to gain his life from the swords, of course, here, which is what they're marking down. Want to make sure they do have the life totals correct. And we'll see a Dark Confidant trigger most likely here.
I forgot to mention that those draws also involve Darin hoping Zach bricks a couple turns.
Yeah, bricking over the course of multiple turns.
Yeah, you need him to brick for a couple turns, but again, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, he's on like a 2%er to win this game, but a 2%er is not a 0%er.
Yeah, like John Finkel says, you got to play every little edge you can. And
so the edges are going down every turn, though? They're being rounded off?
I should probably just stop talking, because every time I say anything to try to encourage Darin's fans at home, something terrible happens.
As you do see a Tarmogoyf here, he's going to bring back a Punishing Fire, and I don't think, even though we were trying to draw up situations that Darin can come back here, that he's going to be able to. You're going to see Tyree sacrifice a Verdant Catacombs, get a land out of his deck, probably go upstairs with the Punishing Fires. He does search out of bad lands, and it looks like we're going to see Zach Tyree move on to the semifinals here. I just don't think Darin can come back.
From a mulligan to 5 to one of the most dominating board positions we've seen all weekend.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. You know, I didn't even think that Darin really drew that value this game. 2 Snapcaster Mages, two Path Exiles, a Brainstorm. He cast Brainstorm twice this game and just didn't get anything done.
He drew his sideboard cards, you know. He drew a couple of them. He had double Snapcaster. He had a Brainstorm, but just, kind of just ran out of gas there. Things just kept turning, and Zach drew Punishing Fire combo, which is very good when you're bringing in equipments.
Yeah.
When your opponent's bringing in equipment, rather.
Yep. So now we're going to see Tarmogoyf and Bobby come across here. And we are going to see a handshake. So Zach Tyree, on a mulligan of 5, Game 3, playing Jun, does defeat Darin Minard and his blue-white Stoneblade deck 2-1. He'll be moving on to the semifinals. He is going to be battling Max Teats and all those goblins.
Goblins versus Jun. Let's see.